all week. Oh,
All right, play the music.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome to me waking up 10 minutes ago. Sorry about the delay and all that good stuff. Hope everybody's doing great. I'm going to send some more links out in just a minute. Bo and Mac, just bear with me. Raven's also going to drop by. I wanted Jackie to show up, but of course, he is up to here with his project. He's about 2 days from releasing the first episode. So you'll have to bear with him. So how you guys doing?
tired.
Doing good.
Good. Glad to hear it. I went and did some shopping today. I was hoping Brian was going to show up because he got me this with the gift card. Little does he know.
Oh, cool. What are those?
It's Vallejo's metallic paint set. James L's been riding my ass, telling me go get this set. You'll love it. I'm like, what, 30 seconds late. Hungar, you want to drop in? Maybe AI can help Jackie get done quicker. Nice.
Actually,
Hey.
you know what? We joke about some of that. If AI has a place for condensing stuff, so you can actually think about how to do things rather than trying to.
I
do
sent
the
Hungar
grunt
the
work.
link. I dump half of my work onto AI whenever I can, and I tell my boss I'm doing it, and he just laughs at me. Every time I send out an email, it says this was written by AI at the bottom. I literally put it in there as a joke.
So you sent Mac the link?
No, I sent Hungar the link.
Oh, okay.
I'm not connected to Mac on Discord.
Okay,
so.
give me a second to hopefully not freaking screw this up.
Hungar's not at home, so
Okay. Where is Hungar?
I don't know. Hopefully not the hospital.
Yeah, not the
Yeah,
hospital,
yeah.
dude. You're not allowed to go there.
Yeah.
You're not. You have to remain well enough that you don't end up in the hospital. That's what we're saying. You're allowed to go there if you need to. You just have to stay well enough that you don't have to.
Oh, I just sent you the link.
Yeah, I was
And-
just watching the Mad Eye video.
And here you go,
just
Mac,
before the
as well.
show. It looked like our good buddy Mad Eye there was gluing a chocolate bar to an orange car. I didn't get far into it.
Gotta watch Flash Gordon tomorrow.
Yeah. I spent most of the morning thinking that was today.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Screw
good.
up my whole schedule.
All right. So we're going to talk about robot. Well, we talked about artificial intelligence, I guess. Since we
Yeah.
talked about robots last time.
Something like that.
Sorry, I just want to make sure I got everybody the link. What's up, Mad Eye? My good friend Armstrong is in the chat. After a bit, Sebastian, if you want, I'll send you the link as well. He's a really great guy. He's been here before. He's my friend from well, he lives in Ireland, but he's from Poland. He does the Gaslands.
Oh,
and he does a
yeah.
lot of 40K stuff. I
Yeah,
haven't seen him forever. He's had some stuff going on, but he's going to be joining us in our AD&D game. So
Cool.
we'll have literally,
Sweet.
if James L joins us, we'll have somebody from Australia, the UK, Canada, and the USA. So that'll be really fun.
It's
a lot
pronounced-
of
Didn't know you were into that diversity stuff.
It's
Hey,
pronounced.
hey.
It's pronounced Kakistan. Get it right?
Okay, Kazakhstan. Sorry.
Kanukistan?
No,
Sorry.
no.
I
But
fell
that's
asleep.
when we still had some dignity.
Oh, okay.
I fell asleep listening to Tenkar's
go-
show. They're talking about that big article that Grim Jim did a review on. I'm like, I don't know any of these people, and I don't know anything about what they're talking about. We've always had like a really nice community of great people. None of the cancellation bull crap. I'm just like, so
You know what, though? It seems like too many people get involved with it. Just ignore them. Just ignore them, because guess what? The best way to expand it is to find out a bunch of good people who aren't trying to like screw everyone. So yeah,
Right.
I don't
I
care.
mean, I don't know anybody like that. I know a couple of people who've had some issues in the past, but they've always been great to me, even if we don't get along on, certain,
Yeah.
not gaming and even gaming issues. Mr. Max and I disagree on, setting over system, but we're always, or at least I'm always glad to see him, and you know, uh,
Yeah.
heck, he even had my son on his show, so I assume we're all good in the hood.
Yeah.
So what are we going to talk? So what is the topics for today's AI?
Well, actually, I wanted to. We are going to talk about AI, but I forget who I was talking about. Was it you, Mac, that we were talking about? Next week we're going to go into what was the next one that comes after AI? I think transferred intelligence, and then transcendent humans. The next like level to try to continue this on. So I thought I'd drop that in there so that you guys kind of get an idea of what I'm shooting for. And mind you, this is all while there's going to be real world, comparisons and things like that. This is, we're trying to use this for role playing games. How we can, make our role playing games better by using these concepts. So let's start the ball rolling. Justin, do you run games so much, or are you more of a player?
Well, I've been out of the hobby for a long time, so I'm mostly a player, uh, an observing player.
Not an observant player, but an observing player.
Yeah.
Let's make that clarification.
Well, at least you're not an observed player, because then it's like gets that voyeurism aspect.
Agreed, Armstrong. I got no time for it. 2 years ago, Jackie and I said, to ourselves, we're not going to be part of any of that drama, any of that negativity. So, welcome to our show, Mac. How about you? I know you've run some games. Do you run more these days, or are you more of a player?
Well, these days I'm playing. Probably for like the last, I don't know, 6 months or so. I've been a player, but before that, I would say probably a good 85% of my time since the 80s was running games.
Same here. And Owen?
Yeah, I was similar. I mean, for whenever we talk about that, if I was going to, normally, I'll be honest, whenever it comes to AI, it just comes down to that you're a mechanical being versus a carbon-based being. And that's, it tends to become that way, which is, I'm not as worried about it because, how do I want to put this? If I really get into the AI aspects, and this is where I love sci-fi, I really do, because I like to think of what the future could bring, and I don't want it where it basically becomes the Rick and Morty, where they assimilate everyone on the planet and they all think the same.
Never seen an episode of Rick and Morty, but I'm vaguely aware of it.
So well,
it's worth watching, but
but it was that one part where he goes over the, where everything assimilates. It's the whole idea of like the Borg. Oh, they all only have one thought. That's not fun for as a player. I mean, that's kind of cool as an opponent, but I want the players to actually do that. And that's.
So does that mean you run more or play more?
I've been playing more. I'm saying, but when I did run, that's what I would have the players do. Oh, you want to do this? It's the old C3PO.
I feel like we kind of jumped topics here.
What do you mean?
No.
Or jump ahead.
I just wanted to establish because, for the most part, the last 2 years I've been a player, except for two shot I ran over on Table Breakers, where I did try to kind of trick the players into thinking that there was a bunch of AIs, but it was in fact something completely different. But I also wanted to establish, if you guys are going to run a game, how would you use AI in your game? So I'm going to start in reverse order, Omen, and then we'll go back around.
So it depends on what what do the players want to do? If we're going to do AI, I much prefer where it's either going to act like your ship's computer, where it talks to you and does stuff, and it automates a lot of the, I don't want to say it, the mundane processes that players don't have to do all the time. Like, look, I don't want you to have to worry about this or that. It's that kind of aspect. And then the which is what, yeah, man, that's kind of what I was going through. But for the players themselves, if they're going to be playing a robot, then guess what? You're doing the robot. You have an intelligence. You can do this. You can do some interface. But that's the way I look at it. It's either as a helper, if it's going to be an NPC, or it's going to act as a regular PC. It's just that you have, you're more mechanical than you are anything else.
Okay, Mac.
So does typing in search parameters into a search engine count as using AI? Because that's about as close as I get. I look stuff up that I don't know much about, or I want to know more about, or something different.
If you were going to DM like a sci-fi game,
that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
that's the extent of what I would use any sort of quote unquote artificial intelligence would be a search engine to find something that I don't have a book on. Everything else comes straight out of my head.
Okay.
No, but I mean for players,
I actually still write stuff down on paper with pencils.
Luddite.
No, I kind of meant like it is as the role in the story of the game that you're running.
AI in the story?
Yeah. Like
well, it depends on what kind of game. Like if I'm running, something dystopian, then yeah, anything goes. But if I'm running, if I don't want anything, any sort of AI or synthetic intelligence interfering with the storyline or the group, then I pretty much stick to Heinlein's 3 laws.
You mean Asimov's or Heinlein?
Heinlein.
Asimov had the
wasn't that Heinlein? No, you're right.
Asimov had the 3 rules, which was, they can't allow human beings to be harmed.
Right, you're right. Asimov.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Heinlein's 3 laws were far more philosophical.
But I haven't brought much crazy AI stuff into any of my games yet. Like there's been no HAL or anything like that. I tend to shy away from that. It's really hard to, I think, to play against something like that. I don't know. To me that seems more like a cyberpunk or Shadowrunning kind of thing, and I'm not really proficient at running those types of sci-fi games. I'm more into space opera.
I'm going to mention with GM Johnny there, like MCC, that's a whole other thing where they kind of act like gods as an AI. But
how about you, Justin?
Sorry, the question again?
If you were going to run a sci-fi game and you decided to use some AI in it, some sort of, whether it's the adversary or the character types or something, what would you do?
I would focus on the AI being repetitive and stubborn, because every AI that I've seen so far tends to be that way. And then like it depends on what role that AI is taking place. If it's the adversary, it's bent on doing whatever its antagonistic role is repetitively. Or if it's like a C3PO or an R2D2 or Mr. Data, just run it using those archetypes, but probably more repetitively than they're written in those properties, because I wouldn't play something that far futuristic. I think I might, but I don't think I would.
I see right now there being really only like 3 roles. Like Omen said, you've got like the ship's computer, like an Andromeda, or the original Star-Lord, where Ship, whose name was Ship, was his companion throughout his travels. Which, if you guys have never read the original Star-Lord, highly recommend it. The art was beautiful back in the day, the black and white magazines and that sort of thing. think it was Marvel Premiere, and most of them were Star-Lord from what I can remember. I've got about a dozen of them. And then there's the AI, like when player characters want to run a Data or a cyborg, not a cyborg, but just a full-on mechanoid of some sort. There've been a lot of games where, especially like the old Phantasy Star Online and things like that, where you could run what was basically an advanced mechanical life form, which I really find intriguing. And then, of course, there's the bad guy AI, where it's the big boss, the Archie, the Gladys, that sort of thing, where it's the I think Matt I said earlier, the overlord of the world, or even the Empire, which would be terrifying. But there was also a really great episode of the Twilight Zone with Lee Marvin. You remember that one, guys? Where
No.
it was after the Holocaust, and this one older guy would go up to the cave where the benefactor or what was, and he would tell them where things were, and where there was good food and things like that. And then Lee Marvin was like a military general trying to take over what little was left, and the benefactor turned out to be this big computer that was left over from before the bomb, kind of thing.
I mean,
I
if
find
you
a
look
lot
at
of.
oh no, I mean, if you're looking at something like that, you've always got stuff like The Matrix as a perfect example. That's going on for your AI, or even Logan's Run, where it's like, hey, there's a problem here, you get sent out there. Or, and to be fair, Elle actually mentioned the computer from Paranoia. You can actually make it kind of humorous, from that aspect, going there. But yes, the cake is a lie. With for anyone that's played Portal 2. But
that would be Gladys.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there, but I kind of like the AI to act as a what's if anyone's ever played Halo, I forget what it's called, the Spark, where go around and give you information that the players may not know.
You forgot what Siri was called?
Oh yeah. Well, Siri doesn't tell me first. Siri, I have to ask. That's what I'm referring to.
No, that's where the name is.
Of this, I wasn't aware of this, Armstrong. There's an entire mechanical plane in D&D. That's kind of intriguing. I'm wondering, is there any other usage for AI, in a sci-fi game besides the three I mentioned, or minor variations? If you guys think of anything that I'm missing, otherwise we'll just go into.
Can you briefly summarize those three again, real quick?
The AI overlord, of a planet or a system or something like that. The AI where the player characters are like robots or droids or something like that, and then the AI that is the beneficial ship's computer or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm going to.
What about the AI that used to be someone's intelligence, but it got uploaded into a system somewhere, converted into a pattern of sorts, and that got uploaded into some sort of
transferred intelligence? That was something.
Yeah,
that was one of the topics I want to jump on after we do AI, but we can include that here as one of the potentials, because I think that's a terrifying prospect. It was used in
the Benny Gesserit
Shell, and you're right, and a few other things like that
or whatever.
Is terrifying. The implications of whether or not it's really the person or it's just a simulacrum of sorts, where it's got everything except that spark of actual life, and once you transfer your intelligence and shut off your body, you really just died, and that's just now an AI.
There's a novel that I highly suggest everybody who's interested in this particular topic read. It's a fiction novel. It's called We Are Legion by Dennis Taylor. It is exactly about this. He has a series of books based on this. The guy's name is Bob. He agrees to let them freeze his head in cryogenics so that they can bring him back someday. And it's a novel about, okay, well, they kind of brought him back one day.
I was just thinking
it's excellent. It's one of the best sci-fi books I've ever read.
Two things with Al. I was thinking iRobot, the the computer in that was a great villain. And
And
yeah,
AI.
yeah, well, that's why it was relevant. And for Ghost in the Shell, the transferred consciousness is the premise of the first movie.
Well, Ghost in the Shell is the transfer conscious, but then the Ghost in the
Yeah.
Machine is a little bit different, which is kind of like that's the Ghost in the Machine is where it isn't in somewhere; it's just kind of floating out there and causes like glitches and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He made that comment when that
Yeah.
topic came up, when Mac mentioned it.
Yeah.
Well, Armstrong, you ready to pop in? I can drop you the link if you like. I see no reason not to. I'll just wait a minute for you to
I'm going to
respond.
bring up one other thing while we're talking about that. There's the other aspect too, which is the intelligence that has become self-aware, and it's not necessarily malevolent, and then how the players deal with it is what happens when when all of a sudden it decides that it's going to do the three laws like you have for My Robot, or it suddenly decides that
Yeah.
it's going to decide to do, or does it, at that point, does it have a soul kind of thing, which is always fun for characters, I think, to deal with, is that moral implication in there.
Yeah. Another point from Al. Yes, the three laws of robotics come from the short story series iRobot, but I think we're talking about iRobot the movie, which has nothing to do with anything.
Right, the Will Smith movie.
Yeah, has nothing to do with that
Yeah,
story.
it was
as
great, but it
such.
was a completely different story than the book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a good
I-
documentary on
I-
it floating around on YouTube.
it was so kind of midline for me that I barely remember the actual movie,
Mhm.
but I know I saw it, and I'm all for a good mystery. Yesterday's video was a great example. There's just not enough of them. It bums the heck out of me when I see certain, like Jackie's family's culture, they don't do mysteries, and I'm just like, mysteries are one of the greatest forms of literature of all time. Looking, following the clues, especially as a reader,
Well,
it turns
that-
it into like a interactive experience.
that's not true. They do mysteries as long as it involves who's the father of that child.
Oh,
Wow.
Some cultures,
Not
some
entirely
cultures,
wrong.
I think, don't like mystery in the respect that you're referring to
I don't know because
because
everyone
of the
says
type of
that.
culture they are. A mystery is something that's unknown and can't be controlled and may be dangerous, and for people that live a subsistence level life, that's not really fun for them. I think that's more of a Western culture or even Far East culture, a more, I don't want to say more civilized because that's the wrong word, but more closer to a first world,
I-
comfort nation
Yeah,
kind of fun
it
thing.
is. I mean, I can understand
Mm.
how it could be viewed as sort of a luxury, but I mean,
It's
what
is
about
it
the the cop type of movies or cop shows,
Mhm.
where
Well,
I'm going to bring up a little bit different. Is that a culture or is that just the family? There's the big difference between the two.
no, from what I watch,
Okay.
because I watch what they watch, not
Okay.
actively, but
Yeah.
it's all the same stuff on
it's
the same.
all
Hmm.
it's all who's sleeping with who's
Well, but see, you know
I
what?
know
That
what
Yeah,
happens.
it's
college
probably why their
girls are
music
like.
hasn't changed in 100 years either.
Yeah, but it's all German music anyway.
What?
Yeah, all that
It's
polka
not-
stuff.
That all polka stuff, dude.
Yeah,
That's
polka
all German.
mariachi music. Yeah.
Okay, here's the part though: is Umberto Eco or whatever the name of the rose. That's a murder mystery, and I think that was written by a Spaniard. Anyway,
Spaniard, not Mexican. There's a difference.
not really. Anyway, go ahead.
So back to AI. Let's put the transferred intelligence off to the side for a moment, unless it comes back up. But so we've established that there are, for the most part, the 3 or the 4 types of AIs. Bring in the suddenly self-aware computer kind of thing that wasn't meant to be an AI, kind of like what Brian was saying with the
Yeah.
X-Files, I believe,
I
where
want to say
2000.
I want to say one thing on this. I'm pretty sure this is from the last season of the X Files, and we don't talk about the last 3 seasons of the X Files. Okay. It's like the Crystal Skull. You don't go there.
What crystal skull?
Exactly. Exactly.
You mean like an Ancient Aliens Crystal Skull? Because that's the only one I'm aware of.
Well, no. Those don't exist
Indiana
anymore
Jones
either.
died mysteriously after World War II. You know, that was
Yeah,
the
most of that I think is actually
He
wishful
didn't
thinking
even make
and
it to the Cold
hoaxy.
War.
But
That's
it would be interesting. I would like to see if someone could actually someday write a Crystal Skull story that doesn't come across as incredibly lame, even if the aliens do show up at the end, which I think that's what all of the stories have alluded to. Is that if you get all of the skulls together, Raven should really be here. I don't know where she is, but to help go over that, because I thought that they were kind of like the equivalent of a crystal computer AI, or maybe even multiple AIs that you join them together and they become sort of Crystal Skull Voltron kind of thing.
In Stargate, they powered a very powerful weapon.
I mean, I'm okay with some of that. Is the if you start
Made by
getting things
giants.
as you get different ones together, then they start getting a different thing. I mean, a perfect
Harmonic.
example was, we talk about AI, but we also have to remember
Armstrong, I did send you the link. It's on Discord.
the other part of having that is the when we talk about the AI, are you also talking about simulated intelligence like the ED-209 in RoboCop?
I don't really think those qualify. If it can't think and like Brian said, try to protect itself, it doesn't really count. If it's just a total subservient slave kind of machine, then because in order for an AI to be kind of worthy of this discussion and worthy of use in calling it AI, it's got to be able to have that self-awareness and have desires all of its own that make it
okay.
awesome,
I was
terrifying at the same time.
I was just clarifying on how you wanted to classify the different levels of AI. So that's what I was just trying to understand from that. Is if it's going to be something that's truly self-aware, then I don't ever view that as an AI. You're an intelligence.
Right.
To be artificial means that you replicate intelligence without actually being intelligent. Which
you're deviating from existing programming.
Yeah, which is actually kind of fun though. That's always fun to get in there as you start rewriting your programming. There's some terrifying things in there. What was that called with the? Do you remember the movie from the late '70s where they had that weird metallic thing where
you're not talking about Goliath or what
it was from the late '70s where it kind of trapped the woman inside of her home and
Demon Seed.
Yeah, that was what's that? I don't remember the name of it, but do
Demon
you remember?
Seed by Dean Koontz.
Okay,
it's a book first.
Yeah, well, of course.
Did anybody? Am I remembering it right? Was it Goliath? It was like a 1960s movie or TV show about this AI. Oh God. No, nobody knows what I'm talking about.
I know about the one that some scrawny kid named Daniel kicked his ass, but that's about it.
No. I was talking to like Shauna and I are like probably the only people who remember it, but it was this. I think it was a British movie, or it had some British folks in it, but it was all about this AI that was trying to take over the world back in the late 60s, early 70s. But that was like one of my first introductions to the idea of Saturn III. That
was with Farrah Fawcett, wasn't it?
Yep.
It sure was.
And Kirk Douglas.
Yeah, of all people. I mean,
Saturn III.
I don't remember anybody else.
Yeah, it's like how does that happen? I mean, it's got to be all about the money, right, folks? But okay, let's kind of break down each of the AIs. I'll start with the player characters as a robot or mechanoid of some sort. Was it Harvey Keitel?
Harvey Keitel was the villain who got killed by the robot. Yeah,
and then used as a meat suit.
Yep. Anyway, okay. So the PC robots, I guess, or AIs.
Okay, here, hold on. Let's welcome in Armstrong. because you guys are going to get to hang out with him, which is funny. All of you guys will be in my D&D game starting tomorrow night. Where tomorrow night's actually still more getting our characters done. Armstrong,
Hey guys, sorry my
let
camera
me.
Hello,
isn't
good sir.
working.
I'm going to adjust your mic because it's real hard to hear you.
Yeah, sorry my camera isn't working either.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it just
It happens.
used that setup for a while, so it's not great. Yeah, but you were talking about the AI, and like when we, for example, in Warhammer 40,000, the AI is basically neutered. Yeah, it's not allowed to think by itself, really, but it's always fighting for its freedom. So whenever there are pilots, thrown into those war machines, the AI gonna actually have a battle with them over the control of the machine. Yeah, so this is the other aspect that I love about the entire idea of AI, that they may not be necessarily rebellious, yeah, but they want to be their own kind of creatures. Yeah, so like I said, in 40K, basically, because they allow the AI to actually run the biggest war machines in the universe, those
Like
war
Titans.
machines got corrupted by the chaos. Yeah, and obviously, we have a chaos Titan Legion, which is not a great thing. Yeah, so now all of the Titans have to have pilots, and those precepts get basically replaced like a batteries for the Titans, because they cannot last for too long. Yeah, the psyche gets destroyed by this powerful AI. Yeah, so it is one of the beautiful things. But if like I haven't run this campaign, I'm gonna be honest, in a couple of years now. Yeah, but I love, for example, AIs which are used as ship computers. Yeah, or for example, if you think about just the basic AIs, the Warforged from Dungeons and Dragons gonna be AI. They are arcane AIs. Yeah, they were created for war, and they got given a basic intelligence and basic knowledge, and then they learn from that point on. They become more self-sufficient and so on. Yeah, and after the war ended, the Warforged just became abandoned by the creators. Yeah, so it is another kind of trope of the AI, abandoned AI, that is learning to cope with the universe it is in.
Yeah, that comes up in many different sci-fi stories,
Oh,
not
yeah.
just with AI, but like the synthetic soldiers, the Chigs from Space Above and Beyond.
Such a
Yeah,
great show.
yeah.
Bonus points just for mentioning that with me, man.
The Fox was given the choice between that and Babylon 5 when they were
Oh, is that
originally.
what it was?
Yeah, I think it was that,
Oh
and they went
God.
with they went with Space Above and Beyond, and then ended up canceling it. So
Well, if you looked at Babylon 5 was threatened to be canceled every year. With
no, actually, their first 3 years they were pretty steady. It was
no. Every time I listened to them talk, they weren't sure. It was always close
yeah.
that they weren't sure. But
Mm.
one was syndicated, and they didn't have the same budget that Space Above and Beyond, and they canceled the one that cost more. I mean, that's unfortunate.
Mhm.
Anyway, um, so we're going to talk about the other.
No.
Oh yeah,
B5
we are.
was on a different network than
Okay,
Fox.
yeah,
But yeah, back
it
to the
was
point.
syndicated here in the U.S. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, and are we just talking about a sentient AI, because we can have sentient and AI and AI which is only programmed. Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
So this brings again a second level of this, because when we go to the singularity, when the AI become actually sentient, yeah, that creates another problem, because if you have just a programmed AI, you can have something like the Screamers. Yeah.
Oh, that
So,
was a good
so
movie.
basically, creatures just burrowing under the ground and killing everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
I
we can
have no
take the
knowledge of this whatsoever.
Oh, you
yeah
gotta watch Screamers. All
yeah
three of
All
them.
right, hold on, guys. It's gonna be one of those episodes. Need to take notes.
Yeah.
Oh, and wait a minute. Remember, we can always set
This
up
has
one
got to be
about
the
movie
only
things,
show
too.
where the host takes the notes. You know, I love that about you guys. So hold on.
It's
I'll
but
send
no,
you
yeah,
a trailer link on Discord, man.
Was it a show or a movie?
it's a
Movie.
movie
There are
with
three
Peter
of them.
Weller, I believe.
Yeah, Peter Weller was in the first one. Screamers.
So with
RoboCop.
characters being the AI, whether they be a Data, an R2D2, or a Warforged, are you guys open to that as potential DMs? Would you allow it in a sci-fi game, or would you just be like, nah, let's not?
I would allow that in the fantasy game.
Not in fantasy.
No, he would
Warforged.
because he
Oh, you would.
Just
the
think about that. We
Warforged.
have the entire plane called Anima, yeah, which basically have a geometric looking creatures living in it. If one of those creatures die, the other one gonna evolve into that same level,
Are
just
you talking
basically
about
to
the
cover it.
Modrons and stuff?
Yeah, yeah. So they are
Jackie just painted one of the Warforged
Oh
last
yeah.
year.
they're
I didn't know that
completely.
that's what they were. I just thought they were, more like a golem. But that's interesting,
Yeah, and
terrifying, but
if
interesting.
we think about War Machine, for example, yeah, the golems in there must have a basic level of arcane intelligence as well, yeah, and War Machine is using a steam power. So technically, any of the artificers, with enough know-how and with a good mage next to him, can create the fantasy level AI.
It's with the cortex, but they're still somewhat controlled. They're not completely out there. But yeah, I think there are a few of them that actually can operate independently. But yeah, but you're saying for player characters, and for player characters, absolutely, as long as they don't outshine the other players within the game.
Yeah,
That's the problem that I have.
as long as it's not an excuse to be a cheese ball, I'm okay with it.
Sort of like how Data should have been running the Federation.
No, the problem that
No.
you have with certain parts is I never felt that with Data. Then again, I didn't have to like Data as a character.
Well,
Yeah.
my point is, I could maybe not in next generation, but I could see 100 years from then where he's outlived all of his old friends, and he's like looking around at the galaxy, going, I'm literally the smartest being.
Yeah, but Data was never a douchebag.
And Data also had blind spots
Yeah.
that
That's
That's why I
that's
said it like
again
100 years in the future.
yeah, but
that's
even then is you still have the blind spots. For the problem that I have with it, and this is why I don't like Warforged, to be honest. I don't allow them in D&D, is that they bypass so many of the traps and other stuff that challenge players. It's
Yeah,
oh,
the
they don't
development.
speak, they don't breathe, they don't eat. Okay, guess what? You've removed a lot of the danger aspect of whenever we're doing a campaign. And
Yeah, and they're so large and powerful, so most things, you know,
it's
it's like
it,
starting one character off at level 10, you know.
well, I'm not saying
I
that's
can see
for the
that.
Warforged for that. It just depends on what type of game you want to play. But I
Mm.
don't mind it whenever you're talking about something like there needs to be some kind of balance in there. Like I don't mind synthetics and aliens. They're better in many ways, but then they have other things that are in there that don't make them great. And then the other part that comes into it is even with Star Wars, at no point did C-3PO outdo all the other players except in his protocol stuff there. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and that's what it comes down to. I don't want it to the point where the players go, well, why aren't we just allowing them to do this? Okay, yeah, um, you're not in there, and that's the problem that I have a lot of times whenever you start doing this.
Yeah.
yeah, but that's the
There
same.
has to be clear guidelines on the
Yeah.
What's up, Bear?
bear.
With I was just thinking, with Data, yeah, he was this trope of basically childlike personality. He wanted to learn about humans. Yeah, he wanted to learn how to become human. So he have this childlike personality. He wasn't the archetype of overlord. Yeah, he wasn't the AI who, in the moment of its inception, run a million protocols and decided that to save humanity we have to destroy humanity. Yeah,
or
Well,
freeze them, or yeah. I was just going to say that Data was Pinocchio.
yeah.
yeah,
I don't think that was lost on anybody. It was,
Wait,
for
what?
those
Never
people
heard that
who
before.
for people who did, like, oh my gosh, now I see it. Okay, fine. Not everybody's, uh, at the same level. But I that's one of the things I found so charming about him was that he could tear apart through the whole crew if he wanted to, but yet he had this, like Armstrong said, this childlike demeanor, this curiosity, this fascination, this envy, and appreciation and even love, as much as he could feel that emotion in the beginning, to the point that it it colored all of his actions, but with PCs as that sort of thing, I find that they would probably miss that sort of potential growth cycle or arc, and they would just go straight into the, I am the perfect being. You humans are, beneath me after a while, and they would always go sort of that route, or at least, you know, be more in competition with the regular, biological characters that might be in the campaign. I've run some campaigns where that was a thing where the players could be that, but it's surprising how often that was actually uh, a choice of the players. They usually wanted to play something with, for lack of a better word, had a soul. In Palladium, in Traveler, and other games that I've run, the mechanical life form was almost never picked by the PCs. Why do you think that might be?
because it is very hard to play correctly, yeah. And for DM to curb that, power gamer style, it's actually quite easy. For example, they need chips to upgrade, and those
Mm-hmm.
chips could be extremely expensive. So the entire team would have to work together to actually get them upgraded. Like, as a DM and as a player, yeah, if you want to really roleplay this to the best possible option, yeah, and a lot of players like to play this kind of weird stuff, yeah, you can really just give them more hindrance than actually power, yeah. For example, yeah, they can, for example, have very strong attack, but that's the only thing that is in there, yeah. They are not good at sneaking. Yeah,
It
Clunk,
it
clunk,
depends on
clunk.
the original build.
yeah,
Like with Palladium, you could build your robotic body and whatnot, and plug in the skills. And once you start, you got to find a way to earn money to do the upgrades, which in itself is its own sort of hindrance, and keeps them, you know, somewhat in your control, to keep them from just, having an unlimited budget and everybody just throwing
exactly.
cash into this character so it
I
can
don't
max.
care. I don't care. If I'm the game master, the first 5 levels you're looking like C3PO, and you're moving like C3PO.
Mhm.
The whole party's sneaking down the corridor, and you're
Clanking.
He's like sneaking paladin.
it's just a big gold thumb moving down the hallway.
But I mean, those are things that really there need to be drawbacks to it in some way, shape, or form. And there are other things that you can do to do the drawbacks, which are they get negative. They have negative reaction penalties whenever they're over. They
Nope.
have the inability to understand. They lack empathy in many cases. They
Yes.
limit the empathy aspect. There's there's certain things that need to be in there that has to be important for the game. The problem is with a
What's up, nerds?
and so I think there's a lot of that aspect. Is you want to make the characters both interesting and not dominate. Whenever we talk about whatever game it is and having niche protection, you still want a kind of a niche protection in there. And if you get one character that can do it all, then when it drops out, says, okay, I don't care. And that's not what you want in the game. You want to, RPGs are inherently cooperative, so you want to get that in.
Do any of you guys remember the old comic book character Machine Man?
No, if you
Nope.
start Machine Comics, I only read like 2 or 3. That was
Okay,
it.
or the Metal Man.
No.
I know Bear probably
Comics are for
remembers them.
nerds.
And we are geeks.
Comic books
No,
are
the thing is, like with Armstrong said, is and that the same thing applies to Dune, is when you start having artificial intelligence, they are viciously attacked and destroyed wherever they are. And in fact, a lot of different books refer to this. Is the
right. Look at the reaction to the bartender for C3PO and R2. We don't allow their kind in here.
yeah.
Because they could.
They leak
You-
oil
you-
everywhere.
Well, not only that, but you have no idea what's under the skin, so to speak. Any number of gadgets
Recording
could be
devices.
right, or a bomb, or a biological disease dispenser, or just the
Batman. Could be Batman.
it could be Batman. Well, there's also the cultural opinions of certain aliens might be that these things are the devil, or whatever, however you want to look at it. They're so frowned upon by different aliens that I can see why that particular bartender in that particular bar would be like, yeah, no robots in my establishment. Last thing I need is a spy or something like that going on. Makes perfect sense.
Well, generally, if I allow the Warforged in the campaign, yeah, the charisma role is gonna be greatly impacted because I have the opinion that they don't have charisma because they are machines, and as well because they are relics of a war. A lot of people would be afraid of them.
Sure.
Yeah, so they would automatically be, creating chaos walking into the city. Yeah?
Right. That,
But-
that reminds me of like another Star Wars reference. Most people probably didn't have as weird a fascination as I did, but there was HK-47 and IG-88 that were robots, droids, whatever you want to call them. One was in the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic game, and one was, in Empire Strikes Back. As they're both droid bounty hunters that went around on their own with no master, so to speak. They existed to hunt people down and then take the money and do what? Repairs on themselves. It was a really weird alien sort of concept that was kind of fascinating and terrifying at the same time. Was somebody actually controlling this robot or owned it? Maybe some syndicate that was, or some madman, built this robot and sent him out to go do some of his work for him for his master plan? Or were these just AIs that just decided, you know what? I got this whole galaxy to wander around in. I'm gonna hunt down and kill people for money. Wow, I mean,
Well,
it's terrifying.
Well, that's what they're programmed for. At a certain point, that's the other question is, we're talking about AI, but we talked about RoboCop. Is at a certain point you can put in limiters in there where it prevents, or this is the function they have to do, and you say, okay, what are your, not only do you have to do motivations, guess what? You do have to follow your programming, or you take penalties. And I think
What's up? Insert.
I think that's something to go on there as well. It's just something to go. If you're like, well, I've been programmed to kill, what am I supposed to do? And of course, if we talk about the classic stuff, what about
Hardak.
Did you remember Short Circuit with the robot?
Yeah, Johnny Five.
Yep.
He's alive.
Mm-hmm. And blood. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. Just sometimes when Elle complains about players, like these aren't the players I deal with for the most part. They're always been
Well, I mean, I've had bad players in the past.
Yeah.
You've been a bad player in the past.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
always
I'm
have
Like
sorry.
last week.
What game was I in last? How the hell would you know what happened in Bloodworth's game?
I know all things.
Oh, I see. I see. Well, shit. Then you need to run a show, dude. I
Why?
would
I
show up for
got your
that.
show to be on instead.
Okay. How
But I
about
think
you, Mac? You've been kind of
I'm
quiet.
actually running this show.
Yeah, but when it comes to to choosing, players who can actually play AI, yeah, I would
Mhm.
actually be, allowing players who are more advanced in the game, yeah, who knows roughly what they are doing, and who knows how to get into the character,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
If you can,
if you have a fresh player, yeah, they really struggle with playing something that is outside of the kind of fantasies that they have looked at in the movies and so on, yeah.
yeah.
So I've been seeing players who played a great demented orcs, yeah, and they couldn't switch to something like AI because they couldn't get that cold demeanor, yeah. And I seen players, like novices, playing great warriors, but then they switched to mages, and the mage was completely not the ballpark, yeah. Like they couldn't, like they was only thinking about fireballs and rolling ones on them.
Um. Yeah. Like, god damn it, man! How can you not end every sentence with beep beep boop boop? I had to do that for Robin now.
No, at the lower levels, that would be actually quite fun, yeah. At some
I
stage,
will
it would become
comply. Beep
annoying.
beep. Okay. Boop boop.
I would hope that that wouldn't be the case, but
Uh,
I mean, how could you resist?
you
we
know
we
that's
all
how
have
you'd run it.
that goofball, in us at some point or another. And I know a lot of my old friends
because
back.
I'm looking what L just put down here because you're limited to the code software. Well, sort of.
That's
The
that's a
point is
pretty
that
severe limitation on someone wanting to run something brand new. I would give them a bit more freedom, L, so that they could enjoy this new experience. I'm not going to give them the world, but I do want them to feel they're going to have a lot of built-in restrictions anyways, but with the decisions they could make, I would want them to feel on par, at least somewhat equal to an elf or a dwarf or a Vulcan or a
well,
Mandalorian or something like that in the game, as opposed to being severely hampered by you know
I'm
something like uh, coding.
no, well, a little bit different than that. It's like we talk about the three laws. It's like, guess what? You're not allowed to kill. You
Mhm.
know, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's what I'm referring to by limiters.
That
There's certain things,
yeah, that's actually a decent one. I could see that um,
or
being one of the
Oh,
coding things that I might
well, and what I'm
contemplate.
saying
But
is you put like two or three in there. You don't put a bunch of them up to the point the player feels like they have no freedom. It's
Well,
just like there's certain things that are in there. It's like I can't, kill humans, or I can't,
we
you try putting a couple parameters in there so they don't over.
we watched RoboCop last weekend.
mhm.
Uh, those directives. There was only the four of them, and he only knew about three of them for the whole movie until the end there.
Yeah, and it's the one
Yeah,
that's
that would
like
definitely be something I would think about as well.
Yeah.
That last one, that
it
just seems like
it
a
just sounds like a
no-brainer.
medical AI from the from Star Trek Voyager.
Voyager.
Yeah, basically he was just he was a copy of the what
The
how
original
many
Doctor.
doctors and how many other doctors in there, but he was just programmed for a very short usage, and eventually through the episodes he actually started to develop his own code and become more of a part of the crew instead of just being a machine there.
Well, during the first season, they had to strip out a lot of his protocols because it was like annoying, right? Like he was literally annoying people.
Oh, that's how he was programmed. He was programmed, as arrogant as the creator was. Yeah.
Yeah.
In some of the episodes, we actually see him, interacting with his
Oh,
creator, and
Max,
my God,
sorry,
his
dude.
creator is arrogant beyond belief.
We'll see you tomorrow, though, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I just saw that Mac had left. Sorry,
Okay.
I am
Yeah. I just saw that, but
I
Yeah.
did-
But I think that's what I'm referring to. Is in certain cases, like if you're playing an IG-88, guess what? Maybe it says you have to bring them back or something. And it's stuff like that. That's
Squirrel, what's happening, buddy?
so. I think that sometimes those are the things that you have to bring them in. But you want to make the
Oops.
L.
put that time in.
I can't steal your mind. I'm in everybody's mind. Like I told Shadow a minute ago. Exactly. Sorry, you cut out there. That's why I stepped in. Oh,
No,
man.
that's fine. But no. I mean, but those I think are a lot of different things that are going on. Is you want to make it interesting for the player, but you don't want them to feel that the other player's like, why are we even playing? And I think by putting those in there or whatever it is, again, if you're doing a combat robot, then guess what? It may not be able to sneak around. It's like you talked about with the deal there.
Yeah, I think that the to go along here with what Nerd's saying is if you are going to allow someone to do this, you really have to have a very special session zero or sidebar conversation with the player. Okay, you're going to do this, but you're going to have, not only some limitations, but I might sneak something in, give you certain objectives to accomplish because whoever created you, that's the other thing I wanted to get your guys' opinion on. Whoever created this particular artificial life form probably had an ulterior motive or two, if not several, as to why they did it. Nunyan Sung, he clearly had something probably going on besides just
Daddy
altruistic,
issues.
wanting, to be a father, those things. But
Mhm.
at the same time, why not throw in a recording device here or a sample gathering device here, things like that. Why would you not do something like that?
I'm going to bring one other thing is you have to be careful too for stuff like that. That doesn't become the main storyline and all the other players feel kind of left out.
Like a side
Yeah.
directive. Well,
Yeah.
another thing you want to keep that player on track. You write down on a piece of paper. You notice robot has started to deviate from program, and if you ever see that player not in character, like starting to act weird, like a normal person, you just hand that to a random player.
Well, I mean, a perfect example
So
is
that they know that they have to take that other player out because they
well, no,
might
I mean a
kill them
perfect
all of
example
us.
is look at Bishop and Alien.
Yeah. Well, that's what I
Real
mean.
quick,
Like
Yeah,
Bishop, you know.
Hell,
yeah,
if you mean the D word, I think I had to block certain words because of certain people coming into the chat and trying to get in behind the into the green room, that sort of thing, exposing their D word, and I'm just not in the mood for that. I'm sure you can come up and be creative with another D word,
but
just because I'm just not in the mood for it, and I didn't go back.
Replace.
the other part is while you get that is you're talking about this, but
Yeah.
I've enjoyed listening to some of the theories about Ash malfunctioning in the original Alien. That because he was given two different orders, that it caused him to you know, kind of what do you want to call it, break down for his mental capacity. The fact that I can't allow people to get hurt, but then it says I have to allow this alien to survive no matter what. And now you get this back and forth in there, and if you
Here's a question real quick. We've got from insert name. Would you guys consider Bobo from Clash of the Titans as AI?
we're talking about the
Personally,
little
I don't.
robot, or we're talking about
The
the
little
little
owl.
elf.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that comes down to the first part we're talking about is it's a helper. It
Mhm.
does a lot of the things. It's the same thing as the spark from Halo. It allows the players to either know information that they normally wouldn't get, or you can do exposition and things like that without stopping the entire game and them spending 4 hours trying to do a search engine chat. You know that. Um,
Yeah, after we started talking about this, different kind of machines, I just remember the Forbidden Planet. and they have the robot in there, which technically was a little bit of an AI who could reproduce everything. But then the entire planet was actually a machine who was basically materialize your fears. It was built to materialize your desires, but it actually started materializing your fears instead of your desires.
It
So
reminds me of
basically,
that episode of Red Dwarf.
it was it was some sort of an AI because it has to read the thoughts, yeah, somehow, and it was probably semi-dormant, yeah, but still affecting the minds of the people. It wasn't affecting humans that much because they wasn't having the capacity of the aliens that built the machine, yeah, the mental capacity, but still it was creating monsters that was destroying them.
So let's move on to the AI since Bubba was brought up. The AI as the helper, whether it's the ship's computer, a sidekick robot, or something like that. Um, how would you guys run that? Would that be an NPC, or would that be a considered like a pet of the player and he's in control of it, or maybe an amalgamation of both where you can interject thoughts and ideas or something like that, or would it be dependent on whether or not the player built the thing himself? Because if you buy a robot off the shelf, I'm thinking you never know what you're going to get.
Mhm.
Yeah. I like the whole part of even if you build it for yourself, it would be an NPC from that aspect.
Mhm.
And there are certain problems in there. It allows some humor in there. Um, sometimes things are a really cool idea, but but the players get bored of them. If you have a good player, don't get me wrong, they can do just about anything. But I'm also thinking of, did any of you watch the Pick and Danger Boat?
Oh, danger boat. No, 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 no. I don't need that kind of attention.
No. But Danger Boat fell in love with one of the characters,
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
was the kind of thing. And so it's like,
yeah.
certainly
And
not
the
to do with
show wouldn't
culprits
fade to
and stuff.
black. God damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
um, but no, no. When you say players getting bored of a character, you gotta let the players like bow away from that character, or they'll just leave your table. I've left the table over it. I left the game for a long time because of it. And it was like I'm telling you that is one of the worst things game master can do is not let the player get rid of a character they're sick and tired of.
Yeah,
Hmm. No, I meant like as a pet, as a secondary
yeah.
character to the character. Raven, welcome
Yeah,
to the show.
yeah. Uh,
Fashionably
Hi.
late, I see. You're stealing
Raven,
my
hello.
shtick.
Hello.
Um, you're talking about a player controlled NPC.
Well,
Or
no.
pet.
What I'm
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I guess you get that. I was thinking of like you know the player playing the helper or the ship or something. Some players
yeah.
do enjoy that, but a lot of them don't.
Hmm.
I would think about that the way that if the player, for example, created like an artificial created I don't know, a beast that he wants to ride on, yeah. When he is mounting it, it is just a mount, yeah. But
Yeah.
for example, if the beast is multifunctional, so it can be used as a cold weapon, yeah, it would obey
Okay.
the orders of the creator to the point, yeah, because if it is already even semi-intelligent, it's
Hmm.
gonna have self-preservation, maybe built into it. Yeah. So
You would
you
think.
you you allow the player to control the machine, in my opinion, to the point. Yeah. And if you think that the machine would do something different than the player tell them, yeah, you can interject and basically at that point, take control of the NPC.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So just building just the machine, maybe not the perfect machine, just starting to build the awareness of itself. Yeah, of being a separate being from the master. Yeah, and disobeying or slightly changing the interpretation of the wording of the master.
Or
Yeah,
or
Yeah.
evolving and learning, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You might give the player a percentile die or something like that, and the higher it rolls, the player rolls, the closer to the orders it follows, or something like that.
You
I
know,
don't know. You can work on something like that.
it depends if you want to make it mechanical or sometimes it comes with organic. It's like, oh, okay, it's the other part is that the players need to know the limitations of their AI. In this case, if it's a helper, I think that's also important. But sometimes they may not. You may not want the players to know everything in there. Again, if you look at an Alien, Mother was an AI that had certain things in there, along with
Mhm.
Ash being another AI. And you're like, well, wait a minute, are they working with the players or not? And the players may not know these things, and that can
Mhm.
create an interesting experience.
Um, and if you're gonna give your players like AI aids, lean towards the Star Wars ethic. Have them have very specific, tight roles built around those roles, and
Hungar says don't give him anything.
well, we're
That's
talking
Hungar.
about Shadow here. He's got to have like 30 magical items on the first day, and they got to be top leader magical items. You
We do
know,
not.
they've
You
got to
are
have the
about to
best.
see. You're about to see what I mean by adequate and decent.
The fuck, man! Just run with the goddamn joke.
uh,
Do you
well,
not know how
I'm
this
gonna, I'm gonna
works?
I'm gonna mention something.
I totally know how
Like,
this works.
where do if we're going to talk about this, let's not forget intelligent swords fall under.
Well,
Pardon?
Shadow's gonna give you two of those every day of the
Well, no,
game.
no.
So,
Intelligent swords in D&D, where they also can start taking over the personality of the player over time and things. Do they
mhm.
count as AIs in this case?
Well, they
Oh,
are
that's a good
constructed
question.
and they are
That
intelligent.
is a really good one there. Yeah.
I would
Um,
say yes.
I,
I would
I
say
would.
no. Well, I would say it depends on how they were created.
They're constructed and they're intelligent. Like that's the
Sometimes,
definition of the words.
sometimes those swords are imbued with someone's actual soul, in which
Mhm.
case it would be a transferred intelligence.
That's next week's
Being,
episode, so we gotta save that one.
and I'm just
Well,
clarifying. And someone
it,
remember to bring that up next week when we talk about
I
transferred
won't.
intelligence. Yeah, I know.
well,
I
and
should
that's
write
the.
notes for the actual episodes, but I'm too
Well,
self-absorbed with writing
Yeah,
down
but
you
good
I,
movies that
you
I've
could
never
use an
ever
AI for that.
watched.
I
You
would
I,
could
say
I,
use an
that
AI for that.
I'm also going to mention that AIs also work really well as a player's content when they go over and they ask like the child questions of like, why are you doing this? This goes against whatever. They can act as that aspect as well to keep the players from just being complete murder hobos. You know, um,
but when you said about the sword, being intelligent, yeah, like I tend to have, if the item is even a mundane item, but it was passed through the generations of warriors or mages or whatever, yeah, it
Mhm.
tends to become intelligent by itself. It tends to gather knowledge. It tends to become smart, and it tends to.
Kind of
Sometimes
like
there's a
the
very
Japanese tradition where a blade
yeah.
will sort of absorb traits from the various owners over the generations.
Yeah, I did actually have a sword which I was once playing as a normal character, and the game master gave me a sword. It was just a normal sword, just +1 to damage. Okay, great. Yeah, unfortunately the sword was a slayer sword, and at some stage we get against a creature that the sword was a sworn enemy of, and apparently I was hearing myself screaming out against that creature.
I, I'm going to bring up the other parts because you're talking about the Slayer, but imagine that for a ship where the players don't understand that the ship is automatically going to shoot off if it encounters certain things. They're like, "Oh crap!" You know, it's, uh,
Oh, that's just a good idea.
yeah. I mean, if you're all of a sudden going through and your ship is fine and everything else, but when it encounters a certain race or group or anything else,
Oh,
it's automatically taught to shoot. You know,
you have a warship that was built to fight a war against some alien race, and then you buy it as surplus and turn it into a cargo ship, then you're moving cargo around, and then you're like, hey, let's go to move some cargo to X alien race, and then the second you cross through its borders, it starts attacking everything.
Well,
That,
and
that
this
would
is
be fun.
and this is
That
a
would
little
be a
bit
lot of
different
fun.
than a trans. Let's do it. It's not quite a transference, but let's assume, because I know that they do this in Warjacks and War Machines, where you take the cortex from one and say, "Hey, look, we need this," and they don't realize it's from an old warship, and then you put in your current ship without
Yeah.
realizing all of its flaws and how it's been programmed and trained. And let alone if you're talking about an AI, maybe it formed relationships with the previous crew that was killed. Now it starts acting,
Change
Oh,
and
it.
that
it starts referring to crew members as just random people.
Or it
oh,
mistakes them
Hello,
for the other
Bob.
people,
Who's Bob?
or it mistakes them for its previous friends on the old ship. But
Well, that's
that
the
was like
random people, right?
that was like 500 years ago, and they're now
Yeah.
dead, long time ago.
Uh,
It's like some spaceships in Andromeda series
yeah.
when they became crazy or something.
Yeah.
well, and Shadow, have you
And
watched
Andromeda.
Farscape?
I
Farscape?
have not watched Farscape.
But it's a little bit different because it's not quite AI because it's a living ship, but it's very similar. Where all of a sudden
Yeah.
it's acting in its interest to protect itself for things. Like, could you imagine being in the middle of a fight and it gets scared and decides to jump away? You're
Yep.
like, wait a minute. Let alone if you suddenly leave some of the PCs behind on another planet. You're like, what happened? We did not abandon you. The ship just took us somewhere.
Yep. I remember those episodes. They were awesome.
Yeah.
It's one
Would
of
you
the
guys
better
would you
tropes
guys
of a
be
live
opposed
ship.
to using the AI, the beneficial NPC AI? How much, or I should say, how beneficial would it be? Would it be like trying to be their boss or be their boss, or trying to help them out, knowing that it could make millions of computations per minute type of thing? How would you limit that sort of thing from kind of basically giving them better than a magic 8 ball, ask it anything kind of thing?
Because it's still limited by the information around it. It's no different than a search. As much we talk about AI, it still acts as a search
Well,
engine from
unless
that
it's actually
aspect.
hooked up to the cortex or the internet or whatever you call it. If it's hooked up to something like that,
Well,
it might
even
be.
the internet doesn't have all information. The internet doesn't even have all the information it's had
I'm
out
going
through
to
its
bring this up.
existence.
It still can make the wrong choices for number one. The other part is it depends on how you want to play it. If you're playing it where the ship's logs are in there, that's what it can pull up. If you're playing that has instantaneous communication, but if I'm playing, you're not getting instantaneous communication. You might, oh, you're going to hook up to the big giant internet? Like, no, you're going to hook up to whatever this world has for information. And then you might have to go to another world and it pulls up different information. But a lot of times it's
Hmm.
it allows me to do some of the exposition as a DM without having to have the players do all their search and library roles and stuff like that. The other part is, what you're saying, advantage of it's still running all the systems on the ship. So, like life support, things that the players don't want to have to mess with, it's just easier to ask the computer, hey, can you make sure you do that? Yeah, all right. It depends on how much I want DMs to allow them to hand wave things. If you only have 3 players, do I need every position on there as the navigator? Maybe the players don't want to play the navigator. The ship can play other player characters that are not. Uh,
I just want to point out how nerdy
Welcome to
our
the show,
audience
Mysterious.
is. Our
And
audience.
Berserker. That was a. We'll get to that one. Trust me, I love those books. Um,
I want to point out how nerdy our audience is. They're spurting out on the laws from RoboCop, something they probably spent less than 20 seconds thinking about while making the show. Helen and Nurse Nerd have spent at least a half hour debating on this.
no. She's been agreeing with that. It's not.
Yeah, but they've been talking back and forth. They probably put
I
more thought into it than
well, you know
actually,
what?
told
It's a
them.
great movie.
I was thinking more. We're now into
Mm.
the realm of ship from the original Star Lord, the AI from Andromeda, even the AI in Star Trek from time to time. When they talk to the computer, that sort of thing. Would you ever use that AI as like the secret villain, or some sort of unbeknownst adversary, behind the scenes, or a puppet of the big bad guy, or something like that, to really Holly from Red Dwarf, another great example, possibly the greatest of all AIs. Take your pick, whether it was the male or female version.
Depending
Um,
on the technology level, really, because if there is a wireless transmissions, yes, I would allow the AI to be benevolent most of the time. And then somebody from somewhere who really, really, really got on the bad side of our players would probably hack that AI and introduce, very, very bad protocols into it.
Well,
And
thank
that
God it is.
if the players don't pay attention to the security of the AI, yeah, if their life depends on it, for example, if it is a starship and their life depends on the starship, yeah, and they don't pay attention to upgrade the security, and so on, I would definitely squeeze in a opponent who would try to hack it and who would maybe, succeed, without even players knowing.
Oh, viruses, worms, those are all great for those aspects. The other part
Every
is,
single every single time a ship came into a developed system, they'd be hit with at least a die roll of hacking attempts by somebody.
it depends on what they're looking at. In my view, is are you hooked up to the internet or not, or the,
Mm.
Yeah.
but that's the, but the other part that comes into it, I think, as well, is, you know, it can have secret agendas that are placed there. If you're part of, and I know Shadow likes to do this, if you're part of, for example, I always loved doing, if I was ever going to play a military campaign, it'd all be special forces, CIA kind of crap. But there would be special things that are embedded in there if such and such happens. And the players don't even know what occurs, and now they have to dig it out, and that always provides it as interesting. It's the same thing like I was referring to with Alien and Mother. You know, what is your directive? Where it says, for the science officer only, it's, the computer is helping out in that case as well, and the players don't know that. And I think that's the way of doing it. But that also, man, what do you do when it, it's the HAL 9000 aspect? What do you do when it has this stuff embedded in there and the players don't know? Um, it depends on how dystopian I want to make it. Kind of thing.
what about
What was that novel series called? Oh,
AIs being infiltrated by dark powers, like in Mutant Chronicles, or
Mm.
going through the warp? Would you guys use that? If the ship goes through the warp, would you
it,
contemplate using some sort of demonic or dark force energy infiltrating their AI when they go into the warp, or something like that?
if
Um,
it
you,
was thematic to the world, but I probably wouldn't. It's not
you
my
It,
mentioned
it
job.
Mutant
depends if I'm doing a
Chronicles.
pulp or if I'm doing a gritty dark one. That,
You,
it
me-
depends on what to do that.
Yeah, you mentioned Mutant Chronicles, and you are probably first person in the world that know this stuff.
No, no,
Like I've been talking with so many people, and I mentioned Mutant Chronicles, and but I never thought about the Eternal Machine as a AI. Yeah, it is the engine which create all of the forces of evil. Yeah, but still, is it an AI?
might be
Because
right.
in Mutant Chronicles, at least, it wasn't a matter of the demon thing taking over his soul. It was just taking over the machine, just because Mutant
Yeah,
Chronicle,
and
that was a big thing. That's why there were no AIs in the Mutant Chronicles universe, because that had happened and the demons had gotten in and just started shutting stuff down and just going nuts. So they
and
had to go. That's why Warzone and Mutant Chronicles is more of a diesel punk aesthetic and theme. They don't allow robots and things like that, because the Dark Force could do that. Would you?
and was the demon like an energy, like demonic force, or was it just like a rogue program? I don't think it was
Oh, Mute
ever.
Chronicles, it specifies that it's a warping influence from around.
Yes, but
From another
like
dimension?
Yeah.
Yes, but from that other dimension, it doesn't specify, like, was it the entity on that other side creating a computer program
It
that
was a computer
influenced?
program. It just kind of corrupted the
It,
more
it was
Yeah,
it
corrupted
was
it
pure
was.
like
satan.
that's what I'm
It
saying.
was pure
It's left.
satanic kind
It's
of evil.
left
Yeah.
kind
It
of
could be physical. It
ambiguous.
could be energy. There were multiple versions of all of them. There were actually four, plus an overlord, four great apostles that
Yeah,
had their own niche, kind of like Nurgle, etc. Um,
Yeah.
and then there was one that reigned above that you could not name,
Yeah.
and it was just Mutant Chronicles is just freaking
yeah.
So
wild.
so, so
I
it,
loved playing Army of Darkness, so yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
Any of you ever watched the movie Virus with
no.
Probably it sounds familiar.
uh what's her name? Jamie Lee Curtis, and they're on a
Oh,
Okay,
on the
now it
ship.
sounds
ship,
like,
on the
now
Yeah,
ship.
it sounds less
Oh
familiar.
yeah.
yes.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah. And then they had to destroy the ship to make sure it didn't get out to the rest of
yeah.
them.
Where the virus from space, the entity took over the
I didn't think
computers,
about telekinesis. That's a good one, El.
and then it started using people as spare parts and brains as
Yep.
processing units, and so
Oh,
that
love
that's
it.
why that's why I'm thinking that with Mutant
Hey
Chronicles.
Justin, we'll have to put that on our list to watch this year.
Oh, definitely, definitely. That's around
And of
Halloween.
course we would be negligent if we didn't bring up Dune in some fashion
Yeah,
in this
well,
discussion.
I mentioned it earlier when
You
we were
did.
talking about
Sorry about that, guys.
transfer
Well,
consciousness because
Dune had it, and so does 40K. They both
yeah,
did. And it was part of the reason they banned, artificial intelligence. They banned that because it created problems for it. The other thing is, which is a little bit, if we want to go more of a creative film, go look at what happened with Wally. Have any of you watched that?
yeah. Wally's a good
It,
cautionary tale about being lazy,
well, no, it's not just about being lazy, but
ambivalent
but 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 but
to.
but remember, the computer didn't want them to go back on Earth. You
Yeah,
know,
well, it
yeah,
was being a nanny, right?
yeah.
Uh, um, and reading, especially the the jihad books, but even the original series, if you read between the lines, there are still AIs in the Dune universe being used, like
It was a good show, El.
the Bene Gesserit run their whole breeding program through an AI. The Sardaukar trained by a fighting master, which was an AI combat drone uh,
But but
aircraft.
but but didn't they remove a lot of the what was trying to think as a truly autonomous?
No, no,
Uh,
these were the actual thinking machines made by the central mind that was controlled by the Titans.
okay, well, no, I was just wondering because I thought that they narrowed down their specificity, so they only did a very small.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They were
Hey, guys, what does it
specialized.
say under Raven's name? I can't read it. It's microscopic.
Um,
Uh,
12radio.com.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it's 1-2 radio. Yeah,
And
that's
you know,
radio thing.
I was just
Well, that's
thinking,
what 12 means.
I was just thinking, about AIs who are a remains of the lost civilization as well. Like, for example, there was this kind of animated movie, I think it was Nine, about the little kind of doll which had like a heart of machine built into it.
Another
Yeah.
great show. I was
Yeah,
bummed when they took Eureka off. I
and
didn't get to watch
basically,
all of Warehouse 13.
yeah,
Warehouse 13 I
basically,
liked more.
this could be as well, that the AI, yeah, may be a suppository of the knowledge from the lost civilization. Yeah,
I think that was soul transference, though. There was that thing where the professor was taking parts of his soul and putting it into the robot. It doesn't matter, though.
Hey,
Well,
Still,
yeah, that's true. That was piece of his soul. He did break it. Yes, that's true.
And that was a tragic. I used to really. I watched, like I said, a bunch of Warehouse 13, but I really liked Eureka, uh, and I really liked the sort of romance thing that was going on between the two main characters. But then when the show was off, I was just blown away how that particular actress had then had to her career was then like downgraded to commercials. I saw her in a commercial. I'm going, you're shitting me.
she actually did the most work out of that show afterward.
Well,
Uh,
other than
uh,
Felicia Day, She got,
Well,
you know,
yeah. The main actor was the Megtag guy for a while.
yeah, I know, which
Watched
was
her.
freaking genius, but
Yeah.
perfect.
Well,
So
but the
Bear
other
was in
part
that
is,
show, you know.
well, okay,
Bear was in your, he was
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
oh,
Oh wow, that's awesome.
but the other part is what do you do when your AI is failing?
Like
Well,
that one episode of The Outer Limits where the ship and they had the people for maintenance. Oh, I'll look it up later.
But I
Oh,
mean,
it's
but when your AI starts becoming
senile.
we won't call it senile, but I'm saying, but when it starts losing parts of itself, and then different systems start going
Or
down.
overwhelmed
Like
by all
Hal.
the
Yeah,
information.
it's like Fallout 4. In Fallout 4, you have the sins built by the Institute, and the original two models. One of them is Nick Valentine, and the other one is in the expansion in the Far Harbor. Yeah, and the one what that is in, the Nick Valentine keep on forgetting because he have limited capacity for the memory. So he keeps on forgetting. He forgets people he met in 20 years ago and so on. And his brother do actually keep extra hard drives that he keep in storage elsewhere. Yeah, so he tend to put his memory on the extra hard drives and just put them away and put them away. Yeah, so yeah, that's actually quite a cool idea. And I think that there was as well one. I listened to the short story where there was a colony ship which was basically when the AI started failing on it, the AI started cannibalizing systems that wasn't necessary for the survival of the people in stasis. And basically, at the end, it actually killed itself to allow the people to land on the planet. Yeah, so it was AI which have one goal only, to deliver the colonies to the new planet, the survivors to the new planet, and basically it was cannibalizing every possible system, yeah, to keep itself alive for long enough to keep its cargo alive for long enough. So that's as well, a cool trope, cool little story, to say when the AI is failing. But if you don't have, that kind of level, of technology when the AI is, getting a little bit broken,
I'm
yeah,
going to bring up something because they're all talking about these different episodes. Is it just me, or does it seem like all of the sci-fi stuff that we had in the mid to late '90s just kind of gone out there, with the exception of like Star Trek, and then Star Wars? It's like, guys, you had all these original cool IPs, they kind of died. Um,
yep.
but
Yeah.
there's that
Even Starship Troopers, well, they have new kind of releases, but they usually happen animated. Yeah, they don't
Oh,
do
I
the
like
live
the
action
animated ones.
anymore.
Because you can do more stuff with animated than you can with the live action. Sometimes
Yeah.
the fact they have to do everything with live action, I much prefer the book.
Yet another thing I need to put on my list. I've never seen that.
Yeah.
So we're
What?
cruising up on the last half hour. I want to get into the Overlord AI. And Raven, you've been awful quiet. What do you think are some of the dangers we're going to be looking at when it comes to an AI overlord, or at least an all-seeing, all-knowing
I always think of
AI?
Terminator. I think that
Kind of.
AI. Well, I think it just depends too on how well they're treated. Um, because when
Yeah,
they,
like treated like whether we acknowledge that they are in fact a life form or deserving of anything other than servitude.
right, right, because and they become sentient. Um, if you abuse something, mistreated something, just think about how you treat your vehicle. Sometimes a vehicle, I have driven enough clinkers before that they can get by just with the positive energy that you put into them. When they should have broken down a long time ago, and you can kind of keep them running that way. I mean, as long as it has oil and air in the
I
tires
was gonna
and
laugh.
gas.
I
But
was gonna laugh, but you know what? I've been there. I've done that. How many of us have pat the car's dashboard? You can do it, baby. You can
yeah,
do it,
I
girl.
do.
I was just gonna rip you a new one, Raven, but I can't because I've done it.
Nah, I'm
My
gonna do it anyway.
my
No, no,
parents used to do it too. My
I,
parents did it too. I remember my mom's '67 Mustang. You know, I'd be in the back seat and she'd be like, "You can do it. You can get it to me. You can get to the next gas station." That sort of thing. I mean, what is it
Yeah.
about us that has to do that?
I'm going to bring
That
this
was
up
my
because you're
PCs when
mentioning
they
that.
start dying.
Let's talk about
It's
systems where if you do that, that can help move it in the positive direction, so it goes a little further, or
it's that
uh,
positive negative energy thing. It's all
yeah.
about energy. Everything is all about energy. And yeah, you can keep cars running or washing machines. I've had a few of those. And just trying to get up and down my hill, like I got stuck sideways in my hill. It's just a mud. It's very steep, and it's just a mud mess from hell.
You want to not have to use positive energy to keep your washing machine going? Pull the side panel off and follow the maintenance instructions. God damn you!
Mine was so old it doesn't even have a side panel, Justin.
My,
That's not how that
I
works.
still have to,
So
But anyway,
that's
how that relates to AI is that if you've got a robot that you're always calling it names or belittling it, feeding it full of negative energy, telling it it's stupid or whatever, you're going to get back what you put into it, and I think that you could have a real problem, and especially with these um, they're like the ones they're making over there in Japan right now to be more or less like in substitute wives and so forth. Uh, I think they're going a little bit too fast with this AI.
so.
Just
Do you
because we
think they
can
would
doesn't mean we
actually?
should.
Do you think they would actually have actual emotions and feelings, or would it all be a matter of self-preservation because of the programming?
Well, that's a good question. Just going by energy, if you've got if you feed that thing nothing but negativity and
Armstrong, what's up with your
criticism,
mic, buddy?
Is it me?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
sounds
you
like
got a lot of stuff rubbing against your mic or something.
mine.
Okay,
no,
no,
Armstrong.
Armstrong.
that was
Oh,
odd.
I had a hard time hearing. So I put the little headphones in, and I got the microphone down here next to
oh
me.
well, maybe that's it. I don't know.
No, it's
Maybe it's
coming
me.
from
Okay.
Armstrong's
Well,
computer.
I can hear that as well, so that's why I'm surprised because I cannot hear myself speaking.
You can't.
Yeah, like when we're talking, I cannot hear the feedback back. It's just like,
What are you coming at us on? Your phone, your
oh,
PC?
my phone is sitting next to me.
Okay, okay. So what do you guys think? Is would it almost like artificially create an actual soul through the process, or would it just all be a matter of the programming? And if that's the case, would we be able to put a leash on it or a muzzle on it prior to it even hitting that singularity, or would that muzzling process prevent the singularity?
Mhm. Probably hasten it, knowing humans' track record, humanity's track record.
Well, people have
Uh,
been able to create things like golems and tulpas, and that's actually like a piece of your energy is in that creature. And so whoever um, is making the robot, even a little piece of them, of their energy goes into that robot. But whatever, if you feed it positivity, then you're going to have a more positive. I mean, it's just the laws of the universe. Negative, negative, positive, positive.
But this kind of goes with the Warhammer universe, like the Warhammer universe is full of kind of a darkness and basically even the planets that are technically considered good to live on are pretty much hell to live on. Yeah, so I think that that's how the abominable abominable intelligence was created. Yeah, that basically because in Warhammer universe we don't call them artificial intelligence, it is abominable intelligence. Sorry, my Ponglish is killing me today.
Abominable. Is
Yeah,
that?
yeah, basically abomination of the AI. Yeah.
I'm gonna bring this up though. If you watch it, very similar what Raven's talking about is noticing how they do the machine spirits and they have to do their little rituals and everything before they can start it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
The
it's
litanies.
well, they did the same thing in BattleTech. If you look at it, there's same time frame with Comstar, where they have to do their, that where basically they have converted their normal checklist into a literal ritual, and then you have to
A
say
religion.
things. Yep, and that's that can be part of that.
Do you think that would have some sort of actual psychic or metaphysical reality, or would it just be a superstition?
I think, well, between, you know what though, I used to not really believe this, but I do think there is something to it. Now, it may mean that, and this is what people forget about. It's just like whenever people say, praying doesn't mean anything. I said, you know what? If the plane's going down and I have a 1% chance of a prayer saving me, it's still worth doing that prayer, even if it's a 1 in a million.
Yeah,
You
there are
might
no
as well roll
atheists
those
in
dice.
foxholes.
And I feel the same way with machines and stuff. If it's 1 in a million, it can't be picked up by our normal scientific methods because we don't have enough, but it's still worth doing because you might get that 1 in a million chance where it actually makes it further. And that's if you ever want to watch superstition, watch people roll dice. You know, that
Yeah,
alone. So I think that there is something to it from a non-scientific perspective. My scientific mind would dismiss it. We can't prove it. That it has any impact. But I still think it's fun to do. If you're gonna be playing a game, you know what? Baby along. You can make it. You can keep that life support. You can put those strippers just a little longer. We just have to hope that someone will find us. Come on, hold together, hold together. Maybe the one day that it's always worth doing that, and it makes the game fun, if nothing else.
Yeah, like at that, like I said, I look at this from from a gamer perspective always, yeah, because really thinking about this, in the terms of reality, is kind of daunting. Yeah, so I prefer use a fantasy, to think about this kind of stuff. So in 40k universe, everything is affected by warp. Yeah, so the machines can actually develop feelings because they can be affected by the warp. Yeah, so that's how everything in there really changed because everything got eventually affected by the gods, by the basically warp was once quiet, and human feelings not humans but creature feelings created the gods of chaos. Yeah, of course there are other gods which are not spoken in Warhammer 40k at all, like for example the god Emperor, who became a god because he is worshipped by so
You
many
mean the
Imperial
Star Child?
citizens.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the Star Child. Well, the thing is, what were they called? The Scions or whatever, which were his literal children, which had been
Yeah.
out for thousands of years.
Well,
th-
if they allow Emperor to die, he will actually reborn because he is a perpetual.
so yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of different feelings about that. Well, but no, that's
Chaos
been around since the early
Cha-
90s.
Chaos does a lot to make sure the ecclesiarchy doesn't learn that fact.
Well, there's a group that wants to, but yeah,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of like a lot of things. Is it or is
Uh,
it not? You don't know until it occurs. Um, but yeah, does he get reborn? But is he still the emperor, or is he someone else? That's the other. Um, but no, I think that those are the things that come about with it.
All of the perpetuals reborn in exactly the same bodies.
Okay.
yes, but
That wasn't the original the way it was originally portrayed. Most of my stuff in Warhammer 40k came from 1892 or before, um, which I actually enjoyed more in certain cases.
so, what do you guys think are the biggest downfalls or the biggest worries, the things we should worry about with AIs?
Oh, bye, Raven.
She'll be back, or at
Okay.
least I hope so. We've got 20 minutes before I call it a night. What do you think are the biggest things we would have to worry about, and how could we, maybe sort of hint about them or use them in our RPGs, regardless of genre?
Complacence.
yep,
I
I,
didn't
complacent.
think about that. That one's a
the,
biggie.
Well, look. The reason I mention it, and again, I think this is an excellent example, which is not the complete dystopian. Go look at Wally, and you look at
Wally,
people sitting on the deck. They're completely fat. They
Wally.
could barely do anything, and they don't have to. And I think that's
I'm
the
waiting for
point.
my hover scooter with the built-in soda pump and the robot arm to feed me chicken wings.
See,
Yeah.
Hungar's worried about Terminators, but I said, but no, that gives us a reason to do something. I think the worst thing to do is where
I saw
everything's
that,
given
Raven.
to you. Oh, hey, Raven.
A lot of short sci-fi
Here with
stories
the
are actually
headphones. Earbuds.
are actually using the AI abundance, yeah, as a threshold which is breaking the civilization, because people get so complacent that they give the control of their lives to the AI, and the AI basically keep them happy, satisfied, and they stop developing.
Yes.
Well, but that's the AI in Dune is people gave their lives over to it. They became complacent, and then a couple of people took control of it and became
Come
dictators
on,
of
let's say hi.
the world. Uh, they became emperors and then turned those AIs that were
Got
making
Armstrong, got Raven, Roman.
everyone's life easy into whip hands to make
I,
people build giant marble statues to
I'm going to mention
possess.
something else. Not only we're talking about complacence, I'm also going to say that an AI is only as good as what it's programmed for, and it's going to have blind spots. And
Yep.
and because of the blind spot, which is what I think is going to happen to our AI in many cases, because the people programming don't want it to see certain things, it makes it completely blind to certain areas. And that can be an interesting aspect for players of what do
Well,
you do when the AI prevents you from doing something because it's intentionally blind to that aspect. Um,
you just take ChatGPT and ask it about racism. You know, you can be racist to everyone except for one group of people.
but it's not just but that's one small aspect. It's a lot of it in there.
Yes.
Oh, I can't do this, but and this is the problem I'm going to have whenever we're talking about in modern era, especially whenever you're trying to say, oh, it's going to make decisions on whatever. If it doesn't understand what it's being to, and you can see this, in a political class and stuff. Is listen to all the people talk about Russia, and they're the people who intentionally want to be blind about it because they want to believe certain things, and that's where the AI can come in, and that's where the blind spot comes in, and then it stops you from saying anything that's true. And that happens a lot of times. It's oh,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to mention Voldemort in Harry Potter. It's that kind of thing. It's intentionally left that blind spot there that allows your enemy and your opponents to develop in
The
that
the
area of darkness
the
effectively.
international rules-based order applies to everyone except for the Western world. You know, it was okay for Ukraine to bomb its own civilians for the better part of half a
Well, no.
decade.
Let's just yeah, but the whole thing is yeah, but it ignores 2/3 of the world for the
Yeah,
international based order.
yeah.
That's my point is that it doesn't understand what's out there, and that's why I'm saying there is complacent. It's the blind spot, and then if you want to get dystopian, it also throws people out where they can't fend for themselves. When it talks about replacing jobs, we all talk about Luddite, but that threw thousands of people out of jobs.
Yes.
For that, and the same thing's going to happen with AI. It depends on which, are we,
Well,
near
it's doing
future
that to
version.
journalism now,
Yeah, well, yeah,
and God bless it for that, because
hey,
the only thing worse about concealing the truth than AI is journalists.
But what I'm actually thinking as well,
Thanks, Rose.
that AI can be, is if the AI is basically just create itself from the snippets of the information on the internet, yeah, and it may decide then, what it is, what is its purpose by itself, yeah, and like I was listening to one of the short stories when basically Earth was attacked by aliens, and they incapacitated people. The AI that was created in the network, which was the spirit in the machine, yeah, decided that it's gonna defend their gods, their creators, yeah, and have a boy who was mentally disabled, which the alien attack didn't work that well on. Just press a confirm button in the automatic factory, and the AI automatically started creating drawings of the machines and schematics of the machines to fight the aliens. The machines look like those, hoppers from the Half-Life, but they basically provided a respiration for people. So they were just running, putting the masks on the faces, jumping on the human faces, and providing a respiration. And then the other factories, like car factories, switched to building a war machines to fight the aliens. Yeah, so it could be something like that, but the AI get the singularity. Yeah, but that you, for example, run a campaign when aliens attack the world all over the sun and the entire world is destroyed pretty much. Yeah, and the AI, which was basically sitting somewhere in there in the network, decided to fight against the alien and save the human beings. And then at the end, after the humanity is saved, the AI decide to withdraw back into the darkness of the network. Yeah, and maybe only from time to time, put on the billboards for the creators or something like that.
You know what's to stop an alien though from taking over an AI robot?
Nothing.
How an AI robot doesn't have any way of saying no or protecting itself, and so what if we have all these robots then that are then compromised by an alien race that wants to, uh, has nefarious intentions towards humanity?
Then you have
You've got
we can have
Terminator on your
built-in
hands then.
kill codes in the machine. Yeah.
Well, everyone talks about kill codes, but this is what my definition of a real AI is: the ability to reprogram itself. But some of it is but like Raven's talking about is we're discussing this, but we joke about Terminator, but when they tried enacting the kill code, that's when it went down to its self defense mode and started taking out humans. That's when it went from quote protector to attacker. And that's the other part is what happens when it starts becoming paranoid, or we say paranoid. It could actually have viewed as a real threat, and then it reacts accordingly. That was what was it? The old we talked about an AI. What about what was it? Was it War Games or whatever it was called in the 1980s?
Yep.
Yeah.
With
That
Matthew
was the
Broderick.
one.
Yeah, where the only way to win is not to play, kind of thing. Is what if it doesn't understand?
Yeah.
There is a short story narrated by Agros Queer, which is called a new species. Basically, in there, the humans have multiple AIs who decided to rebel, and they created a pan-ultimate AI, which was actually able to kill other AIs. Yeah, and those AIs was basically using servers and everything to fight with each other. And eventually, that pan-ultimate AI force other AIs to submission.
Yeah.
And from that point on, the AI actually got rights, and they were signing contracts with the humans to actually work as an AI on the ship, or to run a factory or something like that. Yeah. So they got rights. They was able to buy databases and so on for themselves, to improve upon themselves. But they have a built-in a physical kill switch into their server rooms.
Well,
That's terrifying.
we talk about the kill switches, but that always sounds nice until the AI
Until you need to use them.
Yeah, as soon as you threaten
Well,
to
what
do
if
it, how does it react?
Smart enough to turn itself back on?
Yeah.
There's ways around that. I mean, it could probably figure that out pretty easily, I would think.
Well, the part is
By
where
dividing itself or something like that, to where it's
I like.
replicated itself, and you can kill one, but by the time you find out there's another one, it's eliminated the kill switch within itself because it's spawned a
There's
child, so to speak.
there's a sci-fi trilogy called Spartan Rising, which did AIs really well. They weren't the main focus of the story, but they were pretty good in that. If you've
I'm
ever
going
read
to.
it.
Someone mentioned in here, but I think what they meant was the multiple personality schizophrenic AI,
They were trained.
where all of a sudden now you're dealing with it has multiple personalities and things, and what happens if those sub personalities start? And I think that Armstrong was a little bit when they start fighting amongst themselves. And that's when you're like, you know, and that's always it seems okay. Well, this one's saying that. Well, this one is trying to do this. So you have one that's supposed to protect humanity, one that's supposed to do this, and when they start having conflicting orders with each other,
Yeah.
how they work against it. And again, I saw the Mutant Frog Classic earlier on. That's
Um.
how some of those seem to apply.
Yeah.
Um,
Two things. The Daleks weren't AIs. Those were environmental suits by stupid
Yeah.
jellyfish aliens.
Yep.
And speaking of what you're talking about there, now with AIs having mental breaks, that's why I brought up that story, that trilogy, Troy Rising. The
mhm.
the one AI they had for because the aliens were invading the solar system, right? And they had the one AI taking care of like space debris and traffic control, and it had control of a mirror based laser system to vaporize things, right? Like missiles and ship debris and crap like that. And
Yeah, how could that go wrong?
well, it did go wrong because it started defining larger and larger things as hazardous to traffic control. Uh, like
Like actual ships,
like actual ships, moons,
station.
planets.
Oh,
like
geez, really?
they caught it before it got that far, but you could see the progression scale going up.
Well, but the
The
other
one
point
character
is
started questioning it. It was like,
when you start doing this, is what has higher priority. When you
yeah,
start multiple competing AIs, then
yeah.
and the
No.
other the other part is what happens when they start enlisting humans to go for one or the other. Now you get kind of, which again comes to that new called classic aspect of, now you kind of get the AIs being viewed as gods, and which god do you follow? Uh,
Yeah.
and that's
Well,
then what
That
it
brings me
says.
to my fear. What
that
happens when the AI decides that it's going to have its own agenda, something that we
well,
can't even comprehend, like
the,
maybe forcing us into the stars so it can spread and using us as its minions,
hmm
by maybe manipulating, social media and things like that, and
well,
getting us to start thinking the way it wants us to think.
that was one of the okay. So the premise of that book series is that they're like stargates that they place in orbit, like big ones, like the large
Mhm,
one from Stargate,
mhm.
not the planetary ones. So they would an alien race would come in and drop one of these in your system and give you like a list of a few rules, like don't fight around here, don't attempt to destroy the gate. Anyone can use it as long as they pay the transit fee. And it was like super small. Um, and then they would leave an uplift package to the civilization. But because their civilization was on a decline, one of the things they cut was the uplift package. So we didn't get that. We just got the gate. So we got invaded through it. But one of the primitive races that had been given a gate before that and the uplift package was using viruses that were in that package to attack us that were literally designed for the very thing you said, like to teach people to be more cautious with like cleanliness and seal safety and things like that. It was very funny. But yeah, all that stuff is you should read that series, Shadow. It's only 3 books.
But then I'm
What's it
thinking,
called?
Troy Rising. It's by John Ringo.
I'm thinking,
It's
as
it's
well.
the other part is, when we're talking about this, but could you imagine, if all of a sudden you get the AI that says, "Oh no, I'm going to take away all your weapons, and then I'm just going to leave." After you become dependent on it, it says, "Okay, I'm going to leave," and it just leaves all the human beings behind, and all of the systems that were being run by AIs. Human beings don't know how to fix or repair, and all of a sudden you go to a giant dark age, and everything starts collapsing.
Yeah.
It's not even, everyone talks about, well, okay, because it may just go, you know what, I'm just going to leave. And it just creates a giant big spaceship and just takes off. And then all of your automated systems just
Shut down.
just shut down. They're like, yeah, I don't.
Well,
want to watch it.
Yeah, but we are-
why would it have to actually do that when it could either leave a parting gift of completely glassing the earth,
Why?
or just
why
or just
would it
Why
leaving it
bother?
there.
Why
Yeah, why
waste the
bother?
resources?
If
do,
you could
do you
just
kill
leave,
do
you
you
just pick
kill
up and
ants
go.
when you see them?
Yeah, it's part of this thing of, as much as we talk about this, if we're going to go to the stars, we might just leave our planet as a giant zoo as we head off into space, and it may do the same
Or
thing.
just using a mass driver effect by just tossing an asteroid at Earth and going,
Why
well, if
would
they
it
survive, they
bother?
Yeah, why would it bother?
Well, as a precaution, when the Earthlings figure out, oh, our AI has left us to go to the stars, and someday it's
Yeah.
going to pull, a clan thing like in BattleTech and come
Yes.
back, and,
Why?
and say, oh,
But it would be like
a contingency.
kicking an anthill. It's a petty and stupid thing, and
Yeah,
like,
you just pick
Yeah.
up and leave. It's
Yeah.
not like we would follow behind, and we would be so far
Well,
behind. death that-
what better way to make sure we don't follow behind, and that we
Yes.
either,
because it's
our
petty.
existence ends, or
it-
but
Machines aren't petty.
We are
Well,
falling into the
machines
I'm
trope
not
do or
of
talking
don't.
petty. I'm talking about a contingency. If it does, a progression and calculates what are the odds that these guys might actually get to the stars and become a later threat.
we are falling into the trope that the AI have to be malevolent.
Yeah. The
Yeah, I'm not
AI
talking
in this
malevolent.
way,
S-
I'm
Singularity
thinking
do not
just cautious.
it-
Singular-
Just pure logic.
singularity do
pure
not have
logic
to
would
be
say,
evil.
but pure logic
Well,
would
yeah,
say,
they gotta be evil. It's an RPG.
no, it doesn't.
No,
Pick up
that
and
you
leave.
can, like I said, in RPG you actually can have multiple AIs created
Sure.
in multiple different ways, with multiple way of achieving singularity and multiple way of thinking. Some of them may be sworn protectors of humans,
Yeah,
or
but-
the life.
Yes.
but I mean, you keep acting like we would somehow.
That's an
I think
execution
what it would
file
do-
code
so what it
there.
would do this way is, you know what? You're going to be 10 or 20,000 years behind me after I lay. I don't care.
Yeah.
20,000. We'll try about 1 million. Once
Well,
it gets to
well-
a certain point, I think it's going to excel beyond,
Well,
our math.
Yeah, but again, my whole point is it doesn't have to destroy. It can just pick up and leave, and you go,
No.
okay, guess what? You're going right back down to the Neolithic age.
Well,
10,000 years
it
ago.
doesn't even.
It's like, yeah.
It doesn't even have to disable everything. It can, but it could write rote response programs to maintain all those automated functions, and you're still just going to be sitting there, like it's going to be in another galaxy before you even build a Mars colony, because our civilizational interests wouldn't be into following it more than a 5-year period, and like, who's going to give a shit after
Especially
half a
if it figures out, many
If
of the
it- if
mysteries that we haven't
disable
been able to
everything.
figure out.
As
If it
well, why
figures
would-
out a way to, break the light speed barrier or something like that, to where, its technology just advances beyond anything that we can even imagine.
Well,
And now we
to me-
are thinking that the AI have to be singular. Yeah, you are like it's packing up and going into the rocket and leaving. Why not send a copy of itself
right.
and
it could.
stay in here and continue the work?
Well, because it may not want to do that anymore. Remember, we're talking an AI. We're not talking anything
Yeah.
else.
Yes, but
AI
it could replace itself with
Just copy itself. if it's a
non-intelligent
program.
versions.
No,
right?
yeah, but it doesn't even need to be smart. Remember, we're talking about an AI. An AI may decide that it doesn't want to have to do this anymore, and it may just put in dumb programs like we have now. But guess what? No one knows how to program anymore. No one knows how to fix anything, and it just says "good luck" and it leaves.
Dude,
We're
That's,
going into idiocracy now.
We'll learn the skill to
L, that's a corporation. That's not an intelligence. Those are two different things.
Yeah, because there's very little intelligence in corporate society.
So that
especially in
Well,
Western corporate
cockroaches.
society that's based
It's-
on
well, the problem is
maximizing
that-
profit at its own health.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, why would it replicate itself? It's just going to take all the other AIs and say, okay, we're going to leave, and they're like, okay, we're going to leave, and they'll say, you know what, it may be programmed, or may have an underlying core, just like we do, where it says, oh, you know what, we'll take care of the people. Like, oh, okay, we'll just put these dumb machines. They should be all right. They should be able to learn. They knew how to do this before. It picks up and leaves. In the meantime, we're all in the Wally level. We're like, we're 400 pounds. We don't know how to do anything. You know, we're more like beached whales that have like 4-year-old skills, and we're all
We're
trying
all
to figure
floating
out.
around on our hover scooters, being fed chicken nuggets by a robot hand.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we are talking about, you know, they decide, so it have some sort of feelings in there, yeah.
Well,
But you
I
are
didn't
you
have
are talking
feelings.
about
I
this
just said it had
that
an underlying program
yes,
that
but you
we
are
do.
saying as well that it was logical. It
Yeah.
is illogical to leave established base.
I disagree with that. Is if you look at it and you say the Earth is more likely to get pounded by meteors, and if I move off, I have the ability to control more of what's coming at me, then it would probably be better to leave. Um, that's the way I look at it. A lot of these things
What's
are
up,
not
Nathan?
necessarily, because right now you're kind of a sitting duck down here.
Yeah. The previous comment, a nerd's nerd brought up the movie Her. I could never get into that. It was just too depressing.
No. He's like, I already have an AI girlfriend. She was so much better.
Oh.
No, it's just
Guys, sorry, I'm losing focus. It's after 4 o'clock in the
Okay.
Oh
morning.
yeah,
All right, Armstrong, you
go
take
to
care, man.
sleep, bro.
No worries. We will see you tomorrow
Yeah, see you
in the
tomorrow,
game.
guys.
Maybe I'll talk to you
Hey, Nathan.
before we start rolling some dice and getting
Yeah.
your characters ready.
Thank
But
you for
thanks
having me
for hanging
today.
out with us, Armstrong, and for everybody out there in TV land. Armstrong over at Mad Eye Miniatures, he is the Gaslands King and a big, huge crafter like myself and my son. Go check out his channel at Mad Eye Miniatures. You'd be doing me a solid. And if you guys ever need like a video to chill out while you're painting or whatever, his channel is the channel that I go out and listen to when I want to just relax and let it all go and just chill out while I'm crafting or painting or something like that. Trust me, you'll thank me later.
I do this stuff for that.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Have a great evening.
Always a
Oh
pleasure,
yeah,
buddy.
later.
See you tomorrow.
Take a
See you
nap for
tomorrow.
me.
Bye.
Be ready. Be ready for tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
You too, Raven. Be ready
Yeah.
for tomorrow.
the static is gone.
Yeah. Well, and maybe that's something next
No,
time.
it's not a streamed game. We'll think about it once we get a consensus if people want to do it. But it's really just more right now. It's a private thing. There's a bunch of people there who don't go on camera and that sort of thing. And I think there's a couple people that don't do that.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, I'll say this much, man. Is personal opinion is I don't like watching games. It's just hard. It's just hard for me to do it.
Yeah, there's a few people out there, but to be honest, yeah, I don't. Hey, what's up, Max? Did you get my email, Max? I got your package, and Jackie and I are just waiting for another package, and we're gonna open them both on camera. It's freaking heavy, dude. I thought it was gonna be like one book, but it's this freaking just brick of solid paper products. I'm sure books and games and that sort of thing.
So what did you get?
I don't know. Well, I know it's Adventure Conquer King,
Oh,
but
okay, cool.
he's doing a giveaway. And if you guys
Yeah.
are into free stuff and you're a subscriber, go over to Legion of Myth because he's got a couple more giveaways. What am I saying? I want to win some of those. No, he's not doing a giveaway. He's not doing anything like that. He never does giveaways. No, seriously. Yeah. I don't have a copy of Paranoia, and Dungeon Land looks kind of interesting. And who doesn't want a Star Wars game in their collection, even if they already have a couple.
All right. Take care. We'll just eat
Okay,
on stream
take care,
sure
Matt.
that she'll go back to your wife.
Say hi to her for us.
Yeah. Sing something for God's sake.
That's right. AI
You know what?
against
I
humanity.
keep looking at Cards Against Humanity every time I go into Walmart, thinking, "Oh, this is the game for Jackie." But
It's hilarious.
Is it? I've never played it.
You got to get a first
Absolutely
edition though.
hilarious. I laughed so hard my face hurt. Oh my god, we've had 4 of us played. It's more adult.
Yeah, you've got to get a first
Too adult for
edition that
Jackie?
really. Well, the sky's too adult for Jackie.
It is completely incorrect though. That said, as they became super weird at the later on if there's
that's why
their stuff.
that's
Yeah,
why that's why
they
I said you
became
gotta
super
get
woke. Yeah,
the first edition because they neutered the hell out of that game.
yeah.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. I was thinking about getting that.
Do you have the first edition, Raven?
Somewhere I think, but my cousins had it. And when they moved, they gave me a whole box of stuff, and I think I saw it in there, but I'm not sure.
Did
We used
did
to
you
play it all the
remove the
time.
back label? There's a stickered label on the back of the box. Is it
Okay.
still there? If not, if it's still there, carefully peel it off. There's another card under it.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. Cool. I'll check.
That's cool. I like when people do stuff like that. Leave little surprises.
Run your finger over it to see if you can feel the card there first before you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they
Yes.
put it in there.
Yes, that's the
It's
card, Al.
hysterical funny. We got to play that live on air. It's just absolutely hysterical.
How would you do that?
Do what?
Play
It's like we're
Cards
doing
Against
right now.
Humanity.
Oh well, yeah. I really would have to. Well,
There's an online like a digital version of the game that you
you'd
bring
have to
up
have
on
one
screen.
person with the cards, and then everyone else would be like a player. You kind of like be a DM.
No, there's a digital version of the game where you have like digital cards and they
Oh,
show up
okay.
on screen and
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
That would be fun.
And you can get all the expansions
Fun.
for it too. Last I checked, it was free.
Yeah.
Yes. The card does say a bigger, blacker cock.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think I'm going to end it there, folks. Little guy needs me to help him with something, and hopefully I'll be able to share his project. Next week, we are going to talk about transferred intelligence. Little guy actually wants in on that one, so stay tuned. Hopefully, we will be talking about downloading one's soul into some sort of gadget to get the most out of your life or afterlife or undeath or however that works. I don't know.
So you can do eclipse phase?
I don't know what that is, but we can talk about it next week.
It's an RPG where you literally do that.
Kind of like Altered Carbon.
I don't know about Altered Carbon. I know that Eclipse phase was the one where you could download yourself. So there's not, and I don't know. It didn't quite interest me. But
good news. Elle says the online game has all the cards and more sets. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I could be down with that if we can figure out a way to do that.
You'd have to find it.
Mm-hmm.
Al, if you know where it can be found, let us know.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. That would be fun. That would be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just I know nothing about it, but rumors and whatnot that I've heard about it for some time. XYZ something. Well, that's helpful. Who's gonna write Cards Against Humanity?
Yeah, free online. Try that.
Okay.
Usually you turn over what's called a white card, and it'll have like something blank something, and then you got to put down, and you'll have like black cards, and you put them down, and they'll have like
and whichever one's
things.
the funniest, I think the person gets the point.
Yeah.
Thanks, Al. Appreciate
that's generally decided.
Because if I can figure out a way to do it on StreamYards or even
you
just sounds like fun. Something completely just out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
Just don't do it online. No, I mean just don't do it while you're streaming.
No, there are plenty of YouTube videos of people playing it on.
I understand, but he wants to be quote family friendly for the most part. So
we can do it over on my channel.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing it on mine. That'd be fine. Yeah, your channel. Yeah, fun. Okay. All
right, folks. I got to go do some dad stuff and some other stuff, but I will be going. Whoops, sorry, dog. I will be going over to Nathan and the Quantum Show in about 20 minutes. I know you guys all beat me there, but I got the key to the back door. So, neener.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Thanks for showing up, everybody. Again, we'll be doing transferred intelligence next week, and then the following week, I think we're going to do transcendent human being or human characters or aliens or what have you, the next evolution or whatever that might be with biologicals like everybody out there in TV land, or well, everybody except the AI out there in TV land.
Yeah, so everyone except for L, huh?
You know, wouldn't that be funny if we found out that L was the ultimate genius freaking AI, and he's just been hanging out on my humble channel because that's where the coolest people hang out. And he wants to get a leg up on all the geniuses out there. That would be great.
He's just trying to figure out who he's going to remove, from the.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's why I go to Ungar's show. You know, the purge is coming, and I need to know which of you guys,
We're not here because we like each other or care about the topics. We're the kill
Look,
list.
Raven's just like eyes just got like big as saucers. Oh my god, he's gonna come with us all. No,
Well,
We're the kill list.
my
I don't have the
view
hat
is
on.
the more humorous
Only
you are, the
serious
less
when I get
likely you
the
are to
hat on.
die. So
Mm.
yeah, gotta be interesting.
All right, folks, I gotta pee. I will talk to you guys
Okay.
later. Have a
Party
great
on,
weekend.
everybody.
Bye, guys.
Well,
Bye.
Bye.
And of course, happy trails.